If you're watching the news or scrolling the headlines on your phone, you'll see things like housing markets are in decline, prices are falling, the bubble is bursting. And yeah, that might be somewhat true in some places, but here in the Twin Cities, the story does look a little bit different. I'm Mary Schumann. I am a realtor here in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and I make videos for people that are buying or selling real estate in this area. What I want to talk about today is what's really happening in our local housing market as of October 2025 and how we compare to the rest of the country and those headlines. So let's start big picture. Across the U.S., we're seeing some slowdowns in markets that were absolutely on fire during 2021 and 2022. And really, who wasn't on fire at that time as far as housing markets? Cities like Miami, Austin, San Diego, Richmond, Virginia, Boston, San Antonio, Dallas, Denver, Phoenix, and Sacramento. Those are all on the list of the top 10 cities where home prices are falling right now. That doesn't mean they're cheap. It just means they're not at their peak. Homes there are not only selling for less, but they're also sitting on the market longer. So let's look at what's happening here in the Twin Cities. The vibe is completely different. Our prices are still rising. Slowly, steadily, sustainably, but right now the median price for previously owned single-family homes across the 7-county metro area is up about 5% year over year, and that is a normal, wonderful appreciation rate, and we are sitting at about $420,000 for the median price. If you're looking at new construction homes, those did take a bit of a price dip last year, but they have come roaring back. The median price for new construction single-family homes is up 5.5% year over year, and it's landing at just a hair under $600,000. So while there are other markets that are cooling off, Minneapolis and St. Paul are still holding strong and, in fact, showing healthy, moderate appreciation. I like that. Healthy, moderate, nothing extreme. I love both of those adjectives. So let's talk about inventory, which is also a very important indicator of the market and how it is balanced. As of this week, we have just over 8,000 active listings across the Twin Cities metro, and last year at this time, we had around 7,700. In 2020, that number was closer to 6,000, and in 2019, which we think of as our last normal year, we sat at around 9,400. So we're somewhere in the middle. Inventory is building, but it's still nowhere near oversupply territory, and even in 2019, it was not oversupply. It was still a seller's market then. All 7 of the metro area counties now have more than 2 months worth of inventory, Anoka being the tightest at exactly 2 months. And nationally, the market shows a 3-month supply of inventory. So if you're looking at the U.S. as a whole, that's a pretty big place. But they have an increase of 6.8% of homes available. And they're saying a median market time of about 47 days. In the Minneapolis area, we are at a median market time of about 16 days, which is much brisker. Even with the increased number of homes on the market, and that is actually a healthy sign. It means we have balance between buyers and sellers. Here's where it gets interesting because there have been price reductions happening much more often. Roughly 1,000 active listings are reducing their price every single day. Why? Well, sellers' agents look at comps. They set a list price in consultation with their seller, and then we kind of have to sit back and wait for market feedback. So if we're seeing slow number of showings, but the feedback is good, it means that the home is in great shape, photos look amazing, and maybe there's nothing real obvious to fix, but the only lever left to pull is price. And that's where you see that drop. So if you've ever taken a basic economics class, you know that there's always that intersection of supply and demand, and that is where the true market price gets set. Buyers tell us, not us telling them, as much as we would love to at times. Okay, despite the increase in price reductions, we are still well ahead of last year when it comes to the total number of homes sold in the Twin Cities metro. So when you see a national headline saying it's doom and it's gloom, remember that things are still moving here in Minneapolis. And I sometimes think this is a steep learning curve for people that are coming from out of state. Homes are still selling, buyers are still buying. It's just happening at what I think of as a more normal and measured pace. And honestly, this is much healthier for everyone. So here's my big piece of advice. If you're trying to time the market, that's a really risky game. And unless you've got a crystal ball or some inside information that I definitely don't have, it's almost impossible to predict short-term price movement. If you're counting on the lower interest rates that you've heard may be coming within the next year, you can also count on prices increasing rapidly as people enter the market and compete for those homes more and offer well over list price. So it's kind of a catch-22. Real estate is just hyper local. It's neighborhood by neighborhood, block by block. So while we can talk about these 7-county metro area trends, and they are important as, just an overview, the real story for you is going to depend on where you live or where you're thinking about buying. And if you want to know what's happening in your specific neighborhood or city, just reach out. I love to talk to people that meet me on YouTube. My contact info is in the description box, as well as a link to my relocation guide that you can download for free if you're thinking about moving here. National headlines might be gloomy, but in Minneapolis, we're holding steady and we are even growing. We have more inventory, a more balanced condition in the market, and prices that continue to rise at a very sustainable pace. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Hopefully next week if I get my act together.